everyone, and welcome to the Dakota Fundraising News Podcast. Today is Wednesday, February 12th. We are coming to you live from Philadelphia. We're on Chestnut Street. We were on Broad Street this weekend, though. Obviously, very exciting weekend for Philly and for the Eagles. Konch, do anything fun?
Yeah, typical Super Bowl party with the friends, and then we hit Broad Street for a little bit. Avoided the madness. We stopped on Pine Street. If anyone's familiar with the area, we're just chopping it up right before we started recording. But real quick, I guess, favorite moment from the Super Bowl.
I mean, it's got to be the Devontae Smith touchdown. Yeah, he's the man, and wow.
Yeah, that one is great. The Cooper Jean pick six, of course, that was great to see as well.
Yeah, little sports betting plug for any of our folks interested in that. I actually had bet on just will there be a pick six.
Hey,
I just bet yes, and so I was rooting for both teams, and obviously the good guys won out. So good stuff. We'll just jump right into things though, but it was very fun. I wish the game was a little more exciting. I think potentially. Obviously, I'm glad we blew them out, but would have liked it a little closer.
When it's the home team, I don't mind the blowout, but Friday we'll have a nice little celebration parade here in Philadelphia. Maybe we'll see some of our listeners out there.
Maybe. Great. Jumping into things though, job changes. Erica Olson, she has joined Makita as the Director of Public Markets Manager Research. She was previously at Monticello. An interesting call out. We talk a lot about private funds, obviously, but public markets are still very important. So just want to make sure we call that one out. Two others that we'll run through quickly if you didn't see. These both were in our news email. If you aren't getting our news email, feel free to reach out on our website. We can get that set up. So I'll just sprint through these because you maybe have already seen them. But Ken Matheson is a managing partner at U.S. Capital Wealth Advisors. He has left Laidlaw Wealth Management for this new role. And then Carrie Vatanen, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but I think I did a good try, has joined ELO as the Director of Asset Allocation and Alternatives. Carrie has left the Veritas Pension Insurance Company.
Moving into our RIA segment, these are also included on the daily emails that you just mentioned where the job changes are posted as well. So great email to stay in tune. And if you're not listening on the podcast twice a week.
And if you are listening, don't forget to like and subscribe because we forgot again. One of these days we'll remember at the open.
Good plug. But yeah, RIAs, as far as, advisor teams and things like that, Wells Fargo, they have recruited Broadleaf Wealth Management. This is a group coming over from UBS. They'll be adding around $1.6 billion in client assets and about $11 million in annual revenue to their portfolio. So big win for Wells Fargo there. Broadleaf team, they're led by Edward and David Tannenbaum. This is Wells Fargo's first major recruitment of the year. Back in 2024 or late last year, they added Axis Wealth Management and BDC Wealth Management. I'm sure we'll hear more about Wells Fargo this year, and we'll report on that when we hear. Next up, we have Sanctuary Wealth. We do talk about Sanctuary Wealth a good amount on the podcast, not as much as an LPL or something, but they have recruited Kristen Larson as an advisor, who has formed New Spring Wealth Partners based out in Minnetonka, Minnesota, with $200 million in assets. And then just looking at the calendar really quickly, shout out to our colleague Sean Dolan, who is Minnesota based. Happy birthday. Did I say that?
It is his birthday.
Yeah. Back to the topic with Sanctuary Wealth. This is following some previous acquisitions that they made most recently in January, $700 million Hillgard Wealth Management that they recruited earlier this year.
Yeah, and that is obviously based on the geography, but just want to call out that has no relation to New Spring, the private equity firm in Philadelphia.
Good call.
Yeah, Bryn Mawr Trust, unit of WSFS here in our backyard. They have expanded their presence in Bucks County. They have picked up a Doylestown, Pennsylvania-based team from Truist. That is the first recruitment for Bryn Mawr this year. Last year in December, you'll recall, they did pick up 3 advisors from Wilmington, Delaware. So just continuing on this RIA, M&A sort of growth by acquisition approach here locally, which is very fun to watch. On the searches segment, Detroit is where we'll start. Monroe County Employees Retirement System, they have a manager update on the international equity side and have made a recent commitment to Hudson Edge for the Trinity Street International Fund. That is a $17.4 million allocation.
Nice. Detroit, special place in my heart. Used to live there. We ended up watching the Super Bowl with the Lions fan, actually. So I was getting group chat texts, and the Lions fan wasn't too happy watching that, but it is what it is. Houston police officers pension system, $7.2 billion in assets. They disclosed their 2025 plans for private equity, real estate, and private credit. For the year, they're recommending $360 million in new commitments to private equity, $105 million in commitments to real estate, and then $90 million to private credit in 2025. For private credit specifically, they're looking to allocate $45 million between two funds there. As far as their consultants goes, they leveraged Mercer, and then on the private equity side of Franklin Park, they were close with. Also disclosed in the meeting here, as we transition over to the investment section, they did allocate $15 million to the Neuberger Berman Real Estate Secondary Opportunities Fund too. No recent active RFPs since the last recording, but maybe on the next podcast we'll catch some of those. We'll move into investments though, as I mentioned, with the $15 million opportunistic real estate investment from Houston. San Francisco Employees Retirement System also disclosed a number of investments in real estate. Staying on that topic, they allocated $50 million to the Sculptor Real Estate Fund 5. I feel like we've mentioned that fund a number of times. If you want to know their other investors, check that out in Dakota Marketplace. Just to list off a few others here. $24 million to Trinity Ventures in a VC fund, $60 million to Ares in a specific credit strategies fund with San Francisco, and then you have $50 million to New Mountain Net Lease Trust, $75 million to the Presidio Loan Fund, and then $85 million to the OrbiMed Royalty and Credit Opportunities Fund 5. Another strategy that I feel like we've talked about a good amount on the podcast with private credit late last year. So please check that out. And then just real quick on San Francisco, they use Wilshire, Callan, and Cambridge as their consultants, managing a little over $40 billion in assets.
Yeah, I love it. And TRS of Texas in the news as well with recent commitments they announced in late Jan. First, they have made commitments to PIMCO for the Brera Fund. That is a middle market buyout fund out of PIMCO. PIMCO, I didn't know for a while, but that stands for the Pacific Investment Management Company. I didn't know that.
I learned that when I started working here.
Yeah. CSF, they've invested with Fund 4. That is an opportunistic real estate fund. There's a $50 million allocation. And then finally, they invested with a growth equity fund by Oaktree, and that is the O'Loren Investment Fund. It was a $100 million commitment. So a lot of action out of Texas. A lot of action out of New Mexico State Investment Council as well. They pledged $50 million to Longshore Capital Partners. This will kick off our fundraising segment. Actually, Longshore Capital has successfully closed their second private equity fund, $325 million close. Their initial target was $275 million, so they did reach and exceed the hard cap. Longshore Capital sought assistance from Shannon Advisors for marketing, and Kirkland & Ellis was their legal counsel. Again, this is larger than Fund 2, and just New Mexico State Investment Council being a notable investor that helped them kick it off.
Nice. And then last little update here in our backyard to Hamilton Lane. They have closed their first global venture fund, their Venture Access Fund 1, with $615.3 million raised, exceeding the $500 million target. Hamilton Lane, right in, are they in Conshohocken, I think?
They are,
right? Yep.
Yeah.
Fund received backing from a wide range of investors, including pension funds, other institutions, and family offices. Pretty sure we have some of those pension funds in Dakota Marketplace. Of course, if you're familiar with Hamilton Lane, they manage upwards of $956 billion in assets, $117 billion of that in venture and growth equity. Fund 1 here is focusing on primary and secondary transactions to speed up returns and reduce the J curve. So tons of exciting stuff coming out of Hamilton Lane on that fund. More to come, I'm sure, with them as well.
Totally. And that'll wrap it up for today. Dakota Cocktails, we're on the road. We're going to be here in Philly celebrating the birds, but if you want to see us, we'll be out there. We have Dallas on February 26th. We'll be at the Park House. We have Boston on March 5th at Rochambeau. That will double as my birthday party, so you're all invited. And then Park City on March 20th at the Spur Bar and Grill. We can't wait to see all of you there. Be on the lookout for a more full-fledged, day-long conference coming from Dakota this year. You'll all be the first to know here on the pod. Thanks everyone for listening in. As always, we'll talk soon.
Thanks everyone.
This episode is brought to you by Dakota Marketplace. Are you tired of constantly jumping between multiple databases and channels to find the right investment opportunities? Introducing Dakota Marketplace, the comprehensive institutional and intermediary database built by fundraisers for fundraisers. With Dakota Marketplace, you'll have access to all channels and asset classes in one place, saving you time and streamlining your fundraising process. Say goodbye to the frustration of searching through multiple databases, websites, Form ADVs, and say hello to a seamless and efficient fundraising experience. Sign up now and see the difference Dakota Marketplace can make for you. Visit dakota.com/Dakota-Marketplace today.